Welcome to the GDS show brought to you by Supercoach Hub. Tonight we have Fordoza and myself, JT, in the house. How you going, mate? All excited for the past weekend with the Raiders performing?
Yeah, mate, I'm good, and what a great performance that was. We absolutely blew the Warriors off the park. Great performance by my boys.
Yeah, no, it was a good start by the Raiders, I think. They've risen a little bit in my expectations. They look quite good, especially with the rotation they had, I think. Tarpany did something silly in there, but we might touch on that
Yeah,
shortly.
we're going to miss him for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit of a annoying one for Ricky there, but yeah, there's a few Raiders forwards we might be touching on later that can pick up some of those duties.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how are you sitting so far going into the second part of round one?
Yeah, mate, I'm 5 for 307, and I'm sitting 169, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh, nice one, mate. Nice. Yeah, I'm currently sitting in, this is in the Classic League, guys. So I'm currently sitting at 258 place for 268 points and 4 played. So there was a little bit of a recording problem last week and the video didn't come out. So a slide that we're about to show you now is what our players were. So we'll touch on that. I'll just share the screen just now and we'll move on to that. So, as you can see, I actually didn't pull the trigger on any of the Raiders fellas. I'm a bit gutted I didn't. Savage was never going to be in my team, but Hosking was flirting in and out. I didn't play him in the classic competition. But how do you feel your boys went there, man?
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Hosking got a try assist. He's always a handy player. Fogarty, he was just kicking the ball. He had really good base for a halfback, so I'm glad I played him at Platinum and I dodged Hines, and I'm ashamed Tarpany got sent 10. That's a big loss for points.
Yeah, that really hurts, especially when penalties are worth -4, and I believe a time in the bin might be -6 off the top of my head. So, yeah, that really hurts when you you only didn't have any multipliers at that position, so it didn't sting you more demerits, but that can hurt in the other leagues possibly. So, yeah, other than the players that you played, was there anyone else that caught your eye?
Well, apart from Savage and his running meters, I really like Tamale. He just kept busting tackles, running all day. He's one on my watch list, that's for sure.
No, he did look good there, and with Albert Hopewadi due to be back in the team setup for the second round. From what I've heard, it's Tamale's job to lose, possibly, and I hope that's going to be the case and possibly be a great GDS asset moving forward and a definite pod option.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the next game, and you did touch on missing the Hines bullet earlier. Well, I played him, and I played him in silver, which was quite disappointing for me. I just think this guy offers so much upside. I took a chance that the setup at the Sharks may have been a bit different this year, but Tricky still took so many kicking duties, so many playmaking duties away from him. Yes, the Panthers are a very difficult opposition, especially for halves, as you can see by the matrix up here. But I took a chance and it didn't work out for me. But other than that, I was happy enough with the standard Cleary show there. He got me a bit over 110 points, I believe. Oh, no, that wasn't 110. It was probably with multiplier 65, 66, sorry. AFB, he was outstanding. Got a late try to get him the extra bump. And, is just as solid as you get in the mid forward position. Would you like to add anything to this game, man?
No, you pretty much nailed it. Yeah, Isaiah Yeo and Adam Flynn or Blake, you just set and forget, really.
Yeah. And Lindsay Smith caught my eye. I think he's got different pod potential down the track. Just really to see how that rotation works when Liam Henry gets back in the setup, I reckon. But is he someone that you might look at your side as a bench playing option moving forward?
Yeah, he's not a bad player. I just don't see the attacking upside to probably take a spot in my team. I do like him, and he's a safe sort of anchor, but if Yo gets a try or Adam Fanua Blake, Payne Haas can get his offload away. If he developed an offload or something, yeah, sure, but
Hmm.
I just think he's maybe a tier below.
And when you've got those three players that you just mentioned, Haas, Yo, and AFB, it's hard to look outside of them most weeks, to be fair. And there's your three mid positions. So you've only got a couple of bench positions still to fill. And I just think there's more upside out there generally. But if you don't have some of those cards, I think it's definitely an option if you do have that card.
Yeah, definitely.
So we are now going to move on to the first game that's going to be tomorrow night. It is going to be at Allianz Stadium in Sydney, and it will be the Roosters taking on the Broncos. So I'll let you take this one away, man. We've got basically both Haas. I've gone to Tedesco. Is there anything you want to go into before I get into my Tedesco selection?
Nah, this game, you're not really sure what's going to turn up. I'm not too sure what the Roosters are going to do, and you're not really sure what the Broncos are going to do under Madge, so I sort of stayed away.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I've got Tedesco on my side at the moment. Am I confident he's going to stay there? No, I'm not. There's other players I am considering, but I just think he's going to have his hands on the ball a lot more with the inexperienced backline that's going to be surrounding him. He will try and take the ball out the back of the ruck, straight off the back of the halves there, try and create something. What do you think Tedesco's going to do? Do you think he's going to be doing something very similar?
Yeah, I think he's going to be all over the ball, but sometimes I think when he's on the ball too much, it hinders his performances. So
Yeah.
and just sort of stunts their growth as a whole team. So I just don't know if they've got the points in them to warrant his selection, personally.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on Carrigan this season, actually? Because none of us have selected him, and he was a high averaging player last year. He averaged almost 54 points, as you can see there from the numbers below. I just think there's too much uncertainty with Maguire there in charge and what their rotation is going to look like, and him starting at prop. Do you have anything else to add? Why he's not in your team this week?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the bench. Like what's his minutes going to be? It's an odd bench. They've got Piakura as well, so two props. Yeah, I can't. I'll wait and see. For me, I might see what he's
Yeah,
doing next week or something.
yeah. It's. I think it wouldn't surprise me if we see him knock out a 70. I'm just saying that right now. But is it worth taking the risk when there's so many more options that we think might be a bit safer? It depends what sort of GDS player you are, really. It could be for someone to do, but he's not going to make my team this week. Especially when I look at the matchup matrix for last season for the Roosters. They were a terrible side for any fantasy player to come up against. As you can see, they ranked the 17th hardest team for hookers, mids, centres, and wings, 16th hardest for the edge and fullback, and 15th hardest for the half. So it wasn't a great matchup for any position really at the Broncos, any team, sorry. But the Broncos, everyone knows what sort of player Haas is now, and I think he's pretty much set and forget for most coaches.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think the Roosters matrix is as red this year as it will be? Oh, yeah, as red this year. Sorry.
No, I can't see it, man. Like I said, this is from the 2024 numbers, but I just think there's just too much uncertainty there. This is going to be a great challenge for Robinson. He's had a great team to deal with, have for the last few years to build around. He's lost Sully, he's lost Manu. Carey's gone overseas. Walker's injured. Hargraves is gone as well. You've lost White to the Tigers. There's just so many holes out of that starting 13 from last season. I think it's going to take them a few rounds to get up and running, but if they do get a roll on, they may sneak into the 8. I just can't really see it with the squad that they have at the moment, but nothing actually surprises me now when it comes to the Roosters.
Chad Townsend's their saviour.
Well, he's performed for many different clubs, but it might not be too much time before he goes and joins Carey at the Super League. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it's not too far away, definitely.
Right, moving on to the second game, the first of the Friday games. So we've got the West Tigers against the Knights. You've got the most players in this game, so I'll let you start there, Dozer.
Yeah, well, the bookies have this game at 41.5 total points. I think it'll be a lot of points. So I've loaded up on this game. I've got Ponga as my all star, the one I'm allowed to play. Goal kick in. I just think he'll be around everything and just attack. There's a lot of new combinations at the Tigers, so they'll still be figuring it out defensively in a game scenario. So I've gone on the backs, and Dylan Lucas, he's just reliable. Like, you can just sort of pick him, and he loves a good line, so he can score a try. And then big Greg Marzu, he just bust tackled all day.
He's looking a lot fitter this year.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't really hinder his performance, and he can still bust those tackles. Sometimes those players sort of lose that. They gain the speed but lose the tackle busting ability. But he loves the try line, and that's all I need from him. You've got a Silver Terrell May there. I didn't play him, but yeah, I think he's in for a huge season. What do you think about Terrell May?
May, for me, the same's been going around the fantasy community for some time, and a lot of people compare him to Haas, but call him mini Haas for good reason. Similar build, similar skill set, can play big minutes. I think the Tigers are going to lean on him to lead that forward pack, to be fair. Yes, they've got the likes of Luai that's come across. They've got Taruva on the wing. Galvin, that's going to be, I'm really interested to see how that halves pairing works. Buller's coming back from injury. He'll slot back into fullback when he's fit. This is a team that reminds me sort of what the Dogs may have looked like a couple of seasons ago, the first year under Serraldo. Some big expectations there. Might make the 8, might not. I think the Tigers will just miss out, but they'll give a few teams a hurry up this year for sure. And I think May's going to be a huge part of it. Yeah, I think he's going to average near enough 65 points throughout the season, to be fair. So I think I'll have him in my team most weeks.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a safe option. He played the first 40 in one of the trials, which is an outstanding effort for a big bloke. There's a few players I'm definitely watching in this. I think a lot of people are really underrating the Knights this year, but I think they've just got points in them. It wasn't there last year, but I just think they'll click for some reason. Fletcher Sharp, I'm definitely watching him. Jerome Luai for the Tigers is one to watch as well. You know, he sort of went well when Cleary was away, but this is a different team, and it's not the Panthers, but I'll definitely be watching him. Bradman Best, just that left edge can always be humming. I'll always be having my eye on him. As you can see, he's in the top average in points for these two teams last year. Fletcher Sharp, he's playing on the wing and playing at 5'8", so there could be points there. I'll definitely be watching him. But no, I'm watching the Knights a lot this year. I think there's a lot of points and a lot of odd selections.
Yes, looping back to Sharp for a second. Being a winger who can be a really high or low scoring position, I know we've spoken about points in this game. What do you think of his move to 5'8" does for his scoring potential?
He's close to the ball. You know, he's more for kicking as well, like, which wingers obviously don't have. So more attacking points. I just think, yeah, close to the ball, more points really.
Yeah, I bring this up because he'll be more hands on. Obviously, he'll have more opportunity. Is he going to like sit back and let? I think Cogger is pairing with him this week. He'll take most of the general play kicking, but with wingers being so inconsistent, do you think it's just a safer floor and he does have that higher ceiling? Because this week, winger is a very difficult position to cover. Well, we had Toto, he missed out, he got injured. You don't have Carraz at the moment either. It's a big hole to fill, I believe. So do you think he's a sneaky pod option on the wing for some teams this week?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, wingers can be inconsistent. They rely heavily on attacking stats, and close to the ball. One bloke I'm thinking about picking if I had his card. I don't have his card yet, unfortunately. Was Gerald Skelton on the Tigers winger. He had 18 runs in the first trial. He can bust a tackle. He can offload. He can be like a Carraz 2.0 or a Marzu 2.0. I think he's a player to watch.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a player to keep an eye on for me as well. So before we move on, is there any last thoughts on this fixture?
Nah, and I tell you what, I can't tell you who's going to win it either.
No, it's one that I'm having trouble putting my pick in for, that's for sure. Moving on to the rescheduled game. So if you haven't heard already, this game has been moved from Suncorp down to Bankwest Stadium in Sydney. So we've now see the Bunnies have been are now the favourites in this game. From a fantasy point of view, The points have increased as well. What do you think is going to happen here, man? As I can see this being quite an open contest, especially the way we saw the Bunnies performing with the Charity Shield.
It's actually quite surprising that the Bunnies are the favourites, considering how absolutely battered they are. They're just missing troops across the park. Like they've got Cody Walker back, but Campbell Graham, I just think they're missing a bit of firepower. But yeah, I still think there'll be points in the game. I like Osako. He kicks, takes runs. He's pretty safe. I think Herbie Farnsworth. He's a beast. He just runs all day, tackles, offloads, tackle busts, can find the line. One to have. Yeah, Kaloa Matangi. He doesn't mind finding a try line. If you got him as well there, he's a handy player. There's a few to watch, but this game doesn't really excite me like some of the others.
Yeah,
Is there any players you're watching?
Kolomatangi, he is a placeholder for me at the moment because I haven't made my decision up fully on that each position. I was hoping he would be named at lock, but you got Hubner there at lock for the Bunnies this week. So he may be making his way out of the team, but I just think he's going to have to pick up the reins massively for that forward pack. Him and Arrow will be the experienced heads in that six without Murray there this year. But I just don't see much upside too much in the forward packs for either of these teams. And I think you've got to attack them in the backs. That's why I've got big questions over Kolomatangi still sitting on my side. Osako, he's got the goal kicking. If we think it's going to be high scoring, that could be a real good plus. But this is almost a game that I like to do quite a bit of watching on just to see how things eventuate, because I think Jamie Humphries has got the potential to be this year's Lockie Galvin from last season. From what we saw in his only one game at Manly last year, I think it's right there actually. He scored 49 points. He single-handedly got them back into the contest against the Dragons in the Charity Shield. He came on and the team would play totally different with him there. So he's a player for me to watch. And for any of those coaches out there that don't have a Jamie Humphries card right now, I think he's a player for the future, and now might be the best time to look at going to the market to see if you can get him.
Not bad. There's a player on your list there, number 4, Max Flaff. It's a real shame that he's named a back row. I'll have my eyes on him, but I just don't think he'll be as effective as he would be at lock or hooker this year.
Yes, that rotation, it scares me for any playing any Dolphins forwards. I'm quite high on the name escapes me right now. Tom Gilbert, he's coming back from a couple of serious injuries. I think he'll see increased minutes. We'll see Plath go into lock to spell Gilbert at times, but I just want to see how he scores playing multiple positions in any given game at the moment. So that's before he makes it into my side anyway.
Another pod selection is Junior Tupu, come across from the Tigers. I'm a bit of a fan of him. He's quite a good player. He probably won't keep his spot when Bostock comes back, but if you're looking for a winger that no one else will probably play, I think he's a good option.
No, he's definitely a good finisher and can easily score a couple of tries. And they have shown they have wanted to go out left a little bit more than they did right last year, because I think we saw Bostock outscore Osako in tries. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works outside Herbie there, because I think, have we got Herbie's playing left now, isn't he? Is he still out there?
No, I'm not too sure I didn't have to pay too much attention. Whichever side Herbie's on, it doesn't really bother me. I'm playing him.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's on the left. He started on the right with Osako last year, but then you saw Averillo go out right. So, yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how that combo works, because we do know he likes to hold on the ball, and that's why in my starting centre he's my number 1 centre this week. So, and he offers such a safe floor compared to a lot of other players. I think his last score last year was 36 points, and at a real fluctuating position like centre, you're going to take that every week as a floor score compared to the lows that you can see from other players. Jai Gray, it'll be interesting to see how he goes in the second season with Latrell Mitchell out for a bit. He could be relevant in fantasy. But what do you think his prospects are for this game?
Yeah, he's a good player to watch. I think he's a handy player, quite electric, can break a tackle, can score a try. But is he? What's he available? Is he a fullback?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good spot for me. I can't pick anyone from the Bunnies in
Yeah.
that.
There's a lot of big boys in there, aren't there? There's so many weapons to choose from across all the different teams. So, yeah, very hard to get a look in there, but always an option. If you've got a card and you don't have some of those bigger players like a Turbo, Tedesco, Pappenhausen, just to name a few. But moving across to my draggies, Does ask me how I felt about this game earlier. I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't know if this is my unhappiness insurance talking, but I do like the Dogs to take out this one. Yeah, I just don't like seeing a team have so many changes to their spine from a season before. And we've got Cook, we've got Gutherson, and we've got Elias, all new to the Dragon spine. Yes, they looked very good against an undermanned Bunnies team, but there's still an experience of playing with each other and across the field, going left, going right. I just don't see it clicking against the solid defensive unit of the Bulldogs. I'll let you go into the players a little bit there, man, because you've gone a bit more heavy on the Dragons than I have. What are your thoughts around Holmes and Gutherson there?
Mate, I loved what I've seen about these guys, and I think they're my smoky to win the whole comp for some reason. I don't know. That's what my gut's telling me. But yeah, that left
I'd
edge.
love to see us make the 8, mate.
Yeah, you happy with that? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that
I'll
left
take it.
edge. The left edge was just humming in that trial. So Holmes there, Gutherson there. It's a shame about Finau. I think he's a great finisher, but he's not named. Unfortunately, could be from injury, as you said. He's not named in Cup either. So hopefully he comes back soon because he's a player to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have noticed that neither of us have had a hooker come up yet in our selections. I'm really toying with the idea of Damien Cook, even with Little sitting there on the bench. I don't think Cook's going to have a break. I think he's still going to be an 80-minute player and slot into that lock position just to give JDB a bit of a spell. We don't know exactly what their rotation is going to look like, but I'm pretty sure we'll see him close to the 80 this week. And with him playing in the middle, if he does go there, yes, it's a big risk, but the Bulldogs like to roll it up the middle, and that's where they like to try and find the holes. That's where the Dragons are going to be stronger in D, especially with Flanagan in his second year. I think he could be in for a really, really big game. So that might be a last-minute change for me. But any other thoughts about any of those guys that played well for either of these teams last year?
oh, none of those players there, but who I think the Bulldogs are missing, and I think it's a big loss, is Carraz. He's
Yeah.
getting them out of trouble. I think Marcelo Montoya is not it. No offense to him, but I think he's just a big loss, and I don't think they'll realise on the weekend.
Yes, yeah, Carraz was on this list, but I took him off because he wasn't in the starting team. Well, I wasn't playing. So, yeah, he did average high 40s last season, so he'd sit somewhere around a little on that list there. But Preston, I think I have him earmarked as the number 1 or number 2 edge forward this season. What I saw of him pre-season and how he finished at the end of last year. I did digging into the numbers actually, and when the All-Star cards came out last season, was with a few rounds to play, Preston actually ended up being the second highest averaging edge forward by the end of the season. So he came home with a wet sail, and I really think he's going to continue that onwards for 2024. The Tupinua on the bench, it'll be interesting to see how he fits into that rotation for the Bulldogs. But I really do hope we do see Preston do the 480. Do you think he will, or do you think he'll get a spell?
I think he's got to have a spell. I'd love to see him get the 80, but with Tupanua on the bench, you just don't know. He likes to play weird minutes for everyone and weird players. It works, but you just can't get a read on it. But
No.
he doesn't need the minutes. He can score tries. He picked the ball up and had a scoot on the weekend and scored a try. So
Yeah.
he just needs to
What
be
was
on
it,
the field.
80 odd meters, was it?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he said it was 120. But No, he's definitely a player to watch. Another on the list, Matt Burton, goal kicker. He was just in everything last year. I think he's going to have a big year again this year.
Yeah. From what I saw one of their trials, I was a bit disappointed with Burton. I'm not going to lie about it. I just think Sexton's going to take some more points off him to begin with the season, but I think you're going to be right by the time the season does go on. We'll see more attacking from Burton, more kicking through Sexton. I think we're going to see a nice little combo developing in that half setup there. So I think he might be a bit rusty to start with, but I think he'll be up there at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, moving on to the seventh game of the round. This is, I had a quick look before. This is one of the highest totals on the board of 44.5 this week. The reason why I looked into that is just to validate why I'm taking the above players. So we've both gone DCE, Garrick, and Turbo. I just think there's going to be points in this fixture. From what I saw of the Eagles in the preseason, they did leak a lot of points, and that was with a few first graders starting too. There wasn't Travojevic there wasn't DCE there, but neither pack is big. You're not going to have those big boys like Haas or AFB or May rolling down the middle at you. I just think this game's going to be quite open. Starting the season at Brookie, I think there's going to be a lot of points in the Seagulls this week, and probably the Cowboys. I don't know who I'm going to pick as a winner yet, but Turbo, he is a big risk for me. He did average 25 points last year. I did have a look into the numbers before. The Cowboys were the sixth worst team at allowing points against fullbacks. They let in 53 points last year and 55.5 on the road. So I can see Turbo hitting that at least, possibly getting 70, 80. So I think he's a great pot option, even with his injury concerns. He didn't overplay his hand like he has done previous seasons, just with his hammies. But I just think he is due for a big game. And with the points being scored, Ruben Garrick is a goal kicker at a difficult position to fill. I think I'll be locking him in as one of my centres this week. What would you like to mention about DC, man?
I just think he'll take a lot of the kicking, a lot of the organising. Good player, good base. He's not afraid to take the line on. He can get an offload away. He can just rack up base stats, really. He's just safe.
Yeah, Luke Brooks does concern me a bit because his average did go down by about 4.5, 5 points last year. It does concern me with another dominant half combo there, like he hadn't seen for a while. But I just think we can see a bit of a running game from him, especially in the summer, as the four packs tires. I know it's a late game. When is this game? I think it's the last game on Saturday, is it? So it's going to be a bit cooler, but I still think we might see a big game from DCE there, sniping around the edges. We might see Bateman target him a couple of times, but we can see Bateman rush out of the line, and DCE can take full advantage of that if he's attacking down that edge. So, yeah, I've looked at other halves. We're going to come across a big exclusion from me in the next game anyway, off his last season. But it was a toss-up between a couple of them, and DCE has won it out for me at the moment. Is there any other players that are possibly making it into your side this week?
Well, I was just thinking about it then. I didn't really put too much thought into it, but if Tom Duffy is marking up on Olakawatu, geez, don't put me in front of him, please.
You beat me to the punch, man. I was just looking at that too, and I was like, yeah, that could be a real big play. And he did start off very, very well last season too, with a couple of massive performances.
I think he's always a chance as well.
Yep. Like Cotter, he's solid. He just doesn't do enough with the minutes he has compared to a lot of other mids out there. So obviously we have done quite a bit in this chat. Haas, Yo, AFB, May. Yeah, it's hard to fit him into my squad at the moment.
It's hard to sound like a broken record with those three, but
yeah, it is what it is at that position, really, I find. Yes, they might not be the highest scores every week, but I think it's going to be very hard to exclude them for a lot of squads if coaches do have their cards. And moving on to the last game of the weekend, we have got the Storm taking on Para down at Amy Park in Melbourne on Sunday afternoon. We've both gone Grant. You've gone Hughes. I've gone Hopgood. Verdict's still out for me on Hopgood. I've had a look into his numbers against the Storm, and he averages 66 points against the Storm, which is quite outstanding. But he is coming back off injury, and I really don't like that rotation that has come out. So I might go back to the drawing board and maybe add Olokuaru on the bench instead of Hopgood. But that's what I've got at the moment. I'll be happy if Hopgood was to get 65, 70, but I'm starting to get doubts that he might get 55, 60, which isn't really what I would like for a starting mid forward or a bench forward in GameDay Squad. But you've got Hughes and I haven't. Talk me through why he's in your team this week.
Well, he's just like, I know it's a Dally M year. I still think he'll continue that form on. I'm just a big fan of him. He's got a good kicking game, good running game. He's not like your average halfback. He's sort of a more running halfback, but just I think he's elite, really. And yeah, Munster coming back from injury. Look, so I just think Hughes will still take the reins a lot more.
Yeah.
A player I'm watching is
I was
Eli
going to say that's fair on Hughes, man. Like last season was his best season in GDS since GDS began. Can he back it up? The verdict's still out for me. I'd like to see it before I put him in my team. And one of the major reasons why I do not have him in my team this week is Jason Riles has come from the Melbourne Storm setup. He was coached there for, I think it was 6 years, from 2014 through to 20, or was it 4 years, 16 to 20? Hughes wasn't there all that time, but he was also back there in the mix last year as part of the coaching staff. He is a defensive-minded coach, so he'll know how to mark Hughes or send his forwards after Hughes or edge forwards after Hughes. Hughes is an outstanding player, but just with that inside scoop on Hughes and like where his weaknesses may lay, has just put me off this fixture a little bit for Hughes. That might just be a smoky call, but I'm a bit nervous of that fact really with Hughes.
No, that's a very fair point. Player to watch of the futures, definitely that Iongi.
Yeah.
Tell you what, he's got a huge future. I liked what I saw of him in the trials, so I'll be watching him. Eli Katoa is another one. I'd like to, now that Williams is on the back row. I'm not sure he's quite a good lateral defender. So if he's on Eli Katoa's side, he could be a good pod choice.
Yeah.
Are you watching anyone yourself?
I'd like to see how Uto goes in the Melbourne Storm setup. He had glimpses at the Tigers. He had a couple of squad of the round performances. I think he featured 3 times last year, but it was just so consistent. I don't know if he just butted head with Benji a little bit there or was just didn't want to be at the Tigers anymore. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but he just fell off the face of the planet as the season went on. So it'll be interesting to see how players excel in the Melbourne setup. We saw Cartel do it in the last couple of years. So I think we'll see his average bump up from that 44 to high 40s, maybe early 50s. But Bellamy doesn't like to play big middle forwards, really. So just the minutes are a concern for me at the moment, but I'd like to see how it goes. And Nick Meaney this week. I just think if there's to be any scores against Parramatta, I think it could be quite high scoring or quite a big, maybe not blowout, but I just think even with Riles as coach, this is going back to Riles again, I think he can keep it close. But if anyone's to benefit from any extra points, I think it could be Meaney with goal kicking duties. I think he is, off the top of my head, he might be a winger. If he's a centre, then there's a different option in GDS. I can't recall off the top of my head. I'll just look that up, actually, if you've got anything else to say.
I'll just have a quick touch on Dylan Brown. I'm a big fan of him, and with no Moses, no Gutho, he's really going to step up if they're going to have any chance of winning. So if you're looking for someone to play, he could be an option.
He's also looking for a paycheck.
Yeah, big one too. So
yeah, we'll see what happens in that space anyway. But I did just look it up, and Meaney has got a centre allocation as well this week. So if you're looking for a difficult position to fill, he could be an option as a goal kicker at that position.
Yeah, not a bad choice.
So before we finish up for the for tonight, would you like to cover anything else, or is there any player that we have not covered tonight that you might see be one of the highest scoring players this round?
No, well, like I say, you never find. There's always diamonds everywhere. Look at Savage. Not many people would have thought about playing him, but so you just gotta don't be afraid to look everywhere. Really, back your gut.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's what I agree with too. Is go with the gut. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You can do a bit too much thinking into it sometimes, but there's a few good matchups out there. A few targeted teams, like we did touch what we thought were the high scoring games this week, and maybe some good backs to pick up on there. And we have we're going to touch on it again. Mid forwards, there's a few big players in there. They might be set and forget for a lot of coaches. But if you don't have certain cards there, there's always the transfer market out there to go and have a look and trade up for. There's plenty out available. I'm just gone on there actually right now. I can see the top one up there. We've got a Kalen Ponga available. We've got a Zach Lomax. Someone's trying to trade a Epicoris out at the moment, but he could be handy when he comes back from a suspension. Other players that might interest people this weekend is Wade Egan. He's already played, but he could be a player that people might like in weeks to come. And where's another player here? You touched on Nafu White pre-show. You thought he might have decent minutes at the Roosters. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, he's actually a player to watch. I was a big fan of him last year. He can break a tackle. He can get an offload. Just rack up points. He seems like he's quite hard to tackle. Yeah, yeah. Connor Watson in that game as well.
Yes, yeah. Like I've got an eye on him too. I didn't mention him before, but he might be changed into that Hopgood position you can see in front of you. One thing I did forget to touch on the Bunnies game. It's going to be so good seeing Campbell Graham back on the footy field, man. I like how he plays. He's a hard running centre. He was about to line up for the Blues. Was it last year, the year before, and he got injured again? Was it sternum injury? I think.
Yeah,
Just kept him out. So I really hope he's in for a good season, and he's a player to look out as the season goes on, and the Bunnies do get healthier. He could be a really good option for coaches to keep an eye on as well.
Surprising we didn't actually touch on Zach Lomax in this game. How do you think he's going to go at a new club?
That average of 53.4 is generally from being on the wing last year. He's back at centre, where he was averaging, I think it was 45, 46 the previous year. Still quite high for a centre, but I just think there's better options out there this weekend. There will be different weekends to start him against teams that are allowing a lot of points. And who knows, we might even see him back on the wing. But I just want to see how he goes in a new team, going back to the centre position first up before I put him in my team.
Yeah, I don't mind that Kelma Tuolagi when Moses comes back. He's a player to watch, but I just don't think Volkman's Moses' level.
No, I agree with you there. And to finish up, if there's one player that I would say that the first person that is going to be on your team sheet in your backline this week, who would it be?
Ponga. I love him.
Ponga?
I love watching him.
Yeah. No, and that's what I would like to say to all those new coaches out there, or old coaches as well that have been with GDS for a while. Play players that you enjoy watching. It gives you something good to cheer on. And that's what fantasy sports is about. Having a good time, watching footy, having a beer with your mates, whatever it might be. So, anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll catch you next time. Catch you later.
See you guys.
See ya.